deal with nowadays, the money that's earned through football is quite extraordinary, and you have to control that part. And I think that there's certain things I would like to put across your parents, to not actually always to maybe make them better footballers, to make them better human beings, develop them with a character, so that when they leave me, they could go anywhere. You know, and I think that is really a really important part. Sometimes it's like education. It's not always about teaching them what history or mathematics. Sometimes inspire them to be the best they possibly can be. And
so you're teaching them life.
Absolutely, I think that is really important. And you also be developing a character. You know that if you develop the right character, they won't let you down many times. So, you know, that once they go in that football field, they're playing for all the things you've ever taught them. About the winning mentality, the determination, how to handle defeat is also just as important. And therefore you develop a group of people that are you can see yourself in them. You know, and I think I've tried to do that all the time.
So every team member that plays for you, you look at him and see yourself.
Not all of them, but I like to see myself in the ones.
But if you don't, do you want...
No, you keep developing. Everyone's different, of course. They express themselves in different ways. There are different types of talents, of course. And some I would never have the talent they had as when I was a player, but I still had that determination to be successful and trying my best.
You and I talked about it. We had a meeting on Sunday evening, and we were talking about the idea that often the best players don't make good coaches or good managers.
Yeah.
Because they don't understand someone who doesn't have the same skill level.
Yeah, it's a fact. I remember speaking to Bobby Challen about that. He was a manager at Preston North End, and he couldn't understand why the players couldn't understand him. Yeah. So he gave up on it, and he was honest enough to say, "Oh, this is not for me." It's a fact of life. I think that if you look at my career, and in a sense, I always say this to anyone who wants to be a coach: prepare to be a coach. And at 24 years of age, when I left engineering to go full-time in football, I made sure I was not going back to engineering. So I did all the coaching schools, I prepared to stay in the game, and I gave myself a chance by that, you know. And I was an average, a good to average player, could score a goal, that type of thing, but I wasn't a Bobby Charlton or a Messi or a Ronaldo, obviously. And there's very few really, really great players who've become great coaches. I think you can look at Beckenbauer, of course. Right. He won the World Cup with Germany as coach. Cruyff was a great player and won many trophies with Barcelona. Other than that, I can't think of the really great players who maybe don't want to be a coach.
Would it have been for you impossible to manage anywhere else? You couldn't go somewhere else, no matter how much money they offered you, no matter what the opportunity. Or you might have, for the right circumstances, to prove to yourself that you could do it again.
Somewhere else. There was one or two offers came along when at my time at United, but I always come back to this point: why would you leave United? Where is the bigger challenge? And the thing about challenge is this: once you've won something, you can't live in that. Yeah. No, not at Manchester United. You've got to win the next one, and that's a challenge. Creating that, maintaining that consistency of winning, which is a mentality that, you know, I've had. Once that, you know, every time we win the week, celebrate the night, the next day is another day for me. Where are we going forward? Yeah. And so therefore, when clubs came to me and offered me jobs, I thought to myself, well, where is the bigger challenge? Creating History United, or trying to create somewhere else where I have to start again and build on all the philosophies I had when I first came to United.
So stay at United.
Stay at United.
Let me talk about these principles that are in this article and what's called the Ferguson formula. First one: start with the foundation. What does that mean?
Well, the foundation is starting with what you believe in. I believe in building a football club rather than a football team. I can understand coaches who concentrate on the football team because it keeps them in a job. You know, there's a result industry. You always look at the Paolo Di Canio last week, 5 or 6 games into his first season at Sunderland. They allow him to spend £19 million and then sack him. You know, to me, it doesn't. There's no evidence that's going to bring success. There's no evidence. So, we built the football club. I wasn't interested in losing my job because of the results of the first team. I knew I had to do a job in terms of building this football club. So we worked really hard with the youth system, make sure we had a solid foundation that would hold its fort for years and years. So when you see a Manchester United team, and we got to a position where I could plan ahead. So I could see 3 years ahead where this team was going, knowing that certain players coming through the youth system would support the new teams all the time.
And could step into the role that you have defined for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, the second one you say is dare to rebuild your team, which is what, when you mean by that, you even though they may have, a team might have another great season ahead of them,
yeah.
If in fact you know that to have a good team the next year and the next year and the next year, you got to rebuild, even at the sacrifice of say, winning.
Well, the horrible part of the job really is when you have players who have been with you for years, and the evidence is always in the football field, and my job is
evidence is always on the field.
So when you see a player and then you see that the level just start to dip, there's no point in waiting another 2 years. You hurt him more than you hurt yourself, because he'll not want to recognise that the day has come where he's had his time, and having to say that to a player and make the change is very, very difficult. But you can only do that if you have the system where it can fill the gaps and then rebuild the teams as you go along. And over the years, we probably built maybe 5 teams, through the consistency of being there as a manager, and the continuity of the youth system, and the players that you have are not going to last. Even the ones we buy are not just going to last for 2-3 years. You want them to be lasting 6, 7, 8 years. So buying a good age level, maybe 23, 24, is good ages. They've had experience maybe somewhere else, that they've got plenty of years left in them. So you can build a continuity of team.
But what's important here is that you got to be ruled by your head and not your heart.
Oh, absolutely.
You have to say to,
absolutely.
I see it, and it's going to, better go now.
It's a hard part.
Even though that person may have helped take you to the best moments of your life.
Absolutely.
You rode on his shoulders.
Absolutely. It's a horrible part, as I said. You treat them like family, and then when because it's your family, it becomes even more hurting in the sense that you've got to say, well, son, I'm sorry, that you won't be regular, but you can get a career elsewhere, a different level, and that's happened a few times. But it's not an easy situation.
Not an easy conversation.
No, it's not.
Yeah. Then you say you got to set high standards and hold everyone to them.
Absolutely. Every training session, intensity, expectation, the level of concentration will always manifest itself on a Saturday. And that's what we look for at United. And I never envisaged having a bad session in terms of the training. We always make sure the players were completely concentrated on the
training sessions had purpose.
Absolutely.
You knew exactly what they were going to be doing in order to get ready for Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. The other one is that never, I believe in this one too, never ever cede control, ever.
No.
You've got to be in control.
Well, the point I'm making about you're dealing with very young and rich young men.
Yeah.
And I would say to the directors, the minute a player becomes more powerful than the manager,
more what?
More powerful than the manager of Manchester United. It's not Manchester United.
Yeah.
You've lost control of the whole club. So I always made sure I was in control, because then they knew who the manager was. They always knew who the manager was.
Your word was law.
Yeah, if you want to put it as blunt as that, yes. But you don't necessarily need to use power in that situation. The control is just nice, that they know who the manager is. They know I'm going to make the decisions. They know they can trust me, which is really important. Trust, and they know that I've got the ability to adapt to change, and I've seen that many times over the years. And I think these are important parts of being in control of footballers.
And what does this mean? Match the message to the moment.
Through here, we have to have the character to overcome this. I mean, we've had some great great moments of being behind at half-time and winning games late in the game.
You liked that, didn't you?
Oh, I love that. I love that. Well, I'm a bit of a gambler that way because I always say at my half-time, be patient.
Yeah.
The last 15 minutes, throw the kitchen sink because it's worth the gamble. You're going to lose the game anyway.
Yeah.
And there's nothing better. You get in that last 15 minutes and actually win the game, and the fans are going out the ground singing all their heart out. The dressing room is a fantastic place to be. So, yeah, comebacks are wonderful.
Okay, prepare to win is obvious. You've talked about that. Rely on the power of observation.
Yeah, but it's an important part that people don't recognise actually by using your eyes. And I remember it first dawned on me that I had a young coach at Aberdeen who said to me, "Why am I here?"
Yeah.
And I says, "Well, what are you talking about?" He says, "Well, I do nothing. You do everything." He said, "You shouldn't be doing all the training sessions. You should be in control of the training sessions." And let me get on with it. And I said, "Oh, no, wait a minute. No, I'm not for that." He said, "Well, I think you're wrong." And we had an old trainer there at the time, Teddy Scott. He was a great old man. He says, "Boss, he's right. He's dead right." So I said, "Let me think about it." So we gave it a try, and it worked. And amazing what you're actually watching and seeing the players' habits, even seeing little defects in their performance and their habits, and you could see sometimes that he was not quite right today. I wonder what's wrong with him. You know, and there could be a million things. And that observation I've carried through all my career, and I've used that really well. You know,
you have to. I have a theory that you really do have to make sure that you're in the moment. You know, because if you're only in the moment, can you see with great focus? And you always have to ask yourself, what is happening here?
Yeah.
What is going on?
Yeah. But that's the power of observation.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Right. That's a power of observation.
You don't take your eyes off, and you by doing that all the time, you increase your ability to see things happening.
Yeah. You know? And people sometimes say things that's not quite where what they're saying. You got to listen so carefully. You know what they're really saying, even though they're not using those words specifically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And then there's never stopped adapting. You constantly have to change.
Always. I mean, if you look at United today, their training ground at Charlie is fantastic.
Yeah.
There's only one thing they don't do in United training ground is do operations.
Yeah.
They've got MRI scans, CAT scans. Right. They can do dentistry. They can do the podiatrician. They can do all sorts of things. And that was one of the things that I really wanted and embraced through our chief executive, David Gill. I said, you know, that what you want to make sure at this club, David, is that when a player is here, he sees the best facilities, and we're always adapting and improving.
Yeah.
Sports science, for instance, about 10 years ago, our doctor came to me and says, you know, I think we really should be thinking about sports science.
Yeah.
I says, well, tell me. He says, well, there's 2 or 3 clubs that start to use it, and we really have to be ahead of the time. So he was dead right, but I wouldn't made it difficult for him by making sure he was convincing me.
Yeah.
I do that all the time, but it's just a game I play with them.
I know, it's about make them convince you, so you know that.
Yeah. And then we got this sports scientist, and he then built his team around young men, great ideas jumped out of their head, great energy, and it's taking United up again, you know. And I always say that to adapt, you only adapt if you're going to be even 1% improvement of progress, and it's always the way to look at it. And every year we're at United adapting to different things all the time. You know, it's quite amazing.
Let me talk about some of the great players. Ryan Giggs, you've mentioned.
Oh yes, wonderful. At 13 years of age, he was actually training in Manchester City when I went to his house, and it got to a level.
Yeah, you know, you and I talked about this the other night. This happens in sports in terms of basketball coaches recruiting these young kids because they go there very early when they're 13 and earlier.
Yeah.
And you said to me, you got to get to their mother.
The mother. So we got to a level where my assistant, Archie and Ox and myself, were going up every second night to his house. And it got to a level when Ryan's mother says, will you be back on Thursday? she was buying in tea for us to give us supper. And
you were becoming the best friend of the family.
Yeah, absolutely. And the mother's the secret. Mother was always the strong character in the family, without question. And we said to all the scouts, get the mother.
You get the mother, you'll get them.
Yeah.
Because the mothers they want what's best. Sometimes they want the best coach because they think that coach or that manager will bring their son's talent out, or daughter.
There's always a danger with the father that he tries to live his life through the boy, you know. Yeah, you get a little bit of that. Not all of them, but you do. I've seen evidence of that. And therefore the mother's not, she's not down that line. She's, well, my boy, I want my best for my boy. So
Gary Neville.
Oh, fantastic character. Gary's wakes up every morning at 6 o'clock, reads every newspaper. He wants to know what's going on in the world, and he's got a moan about everything, you know. But he is such a successful person. He's now doing this television work. He's very good. He's very good. He's also doing very well in business. I wanted to bring him on my staff, but he didn't want to do that. He's now with English FA. He's got many hats now. But a very, very determined character.
And then there was a fellow named David Beckham.
David, amazing boy. I mean, how he's created himself. He's an icon for young people. He's fantastic. I mean, he's a wonderful boy.
How did he do that?
Well, he'd always a lovely smile, you know, and he'd always present himself well. But as a young kid, when I got him at 12 years of age, his great desire was to be the best footballer. He was a fantastic trainer, practiced all the time. At night time, he'd come back with the schoolboys and practice with them. And he was in that collection along with Giggs and Scholes and Neville's. And then, of course, his life changed when he married the girl from
Spice.
Spice, yeah. And his focus changed.
What did it become?
Well, he got drawn into that celebrity status, you know. And for me, I'm a football man. I'm a football man. It wasn't my...
So you had to go to David and say...
Yeah, he was to focus, and so there we transferred...
So what did you do? I mean, did you go... Tell me what you said to him when you believed that he was becoming more interested in celebrity than football.
I just think he went over his head. I don't think he could listen. I always remember in the coaching, they say, I'm in love, and well, there's nothing you can do about that, you know, and therefore it was to focus, and we sold him in Real Madrid. He did well. The thing I couldn't believe, they goes to LA Galaxy. I couldn't believe that. I couldn't understand that. I would never allowed him to do that, you know. If I was going to let him go, I was make sure he'd go to the best, and Real Madrid are the best outside United. But he's reinvented himself. He goes and plays for the English international team after a couple of years. He goes and plays for AC Milan in the European tie. Then last year, he plays for PSG in the quarter-final European Cup. He's unbelievable. He really is. And good, well done to him. I mean, you can't argue with the status he has in life.
Yeah, but would it have been better if he stayed at Manchester United and still had all the celebrity?
For me, it would have pleased me more to see him being a great player, you know. As I say, I'm a football man. But how can I argue with his life? You know, he's an icon for young people. He represents himself the proper way. And I say, well done.
Yeah. Now, was he one of those guys, you have said you look for guys who are bad losers?
Oh, David, definitely.
He was a bad loser.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Grumpy, oh yeah.
Grumpy.
The bad losers are all grumpy. They're not happy, oh yeah. The dressing room is not a very happy place.
Those are the ones you want, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're driven not to be unhappy.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Winning is the name of the game. Yeah. You know, don't forget that.
And again,
I always think of Tony being the best at question time. I loved him in question time. Yeah. He destroyed those boys across the path there. You know, he was fantastic.
You like the competition?
I love to see him in that, yeah. And we spoke about many things. The one thing I always said to him about the election time about canvassing, why don't you take a physiotherapist with you?
But the other thing that's interesting me about you is that the sense of mission. You know how to infuse the sense of mission, and you know how so that everybody knows they're playing for themselves, they're playing for their person to their right and their left, and they're playing for something larger than themselves.
The team ethic.
The team ethic.
Look around the dressing room, look at each team member beside you, and trust them.
Yeah.
And that's the essence of a team, that they can understand the qualities and the failures, the weaknesses of their teammates.
And understand accountability, too.
Yes, absolutely. So if you look at a game of football, I always think you need maybe 8 to win the game. 3 kind of an off day or a semi-off day, but they always work hard. And the players recognise that, and they'll do that little bit extra to make sure they get winning.
Yeah.
And the next week can be changed round, of course. But that's it. The essence of the team is to understand and trust each other. And to trust me.
To trust you.
Yeah, absolutely.
In other words, trust your plan. Trust your strategy.
Yeah,
trust
my team selection.
Yeah, team selection.
Which is always difficult because I have to maybe leave 5, 6 players out each week.
Yeah.
And always bring them in individually to explain to them why they're not playing. And it's not easy because they all want to play. But next week they may.
So what would you say to them? Give me a speech.
I say to them, I could be wrong. But I'm picking a team.
I could be wrong.
Yeah. I always say that. I could be wrong, but I think it's the right team for this game. And on other occasions, I'm maybe picking a team for 2 or 3 weeks ahead. So maybe leaving out an older player for that occasion. And I would say, look, just get yourself ready for 3 weeks from now. You'll be playing in that game. So therefore, you're giving them a boost. But
and something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Not playing tonight, but I'll be playing 3 weeks from now.
Yeah. And because I've been manager there a long time, I was able to plan that way, and also have the confidence to make changes for 3, 4 games ahead.
Now, what about this? I think this was in 1999 when you won all 3 major competitions, which is unheard of. And up until the last minute of the European Cup final, it looked to everyone like you were not going to win. You were going to lose. And your assistant manager at the time has said that your belief never wavered. No. Even though it looked like you were going to lose, you didn't think so.
No, it was an accident. Scoring the 2 goals in injury time was not an accident. That was the character of the team. Too many times we'd done it that season, coming back from a goal down to win matches. So it wasn't an accident. But you have to say a little bit fate, a little bit luck.
Yeah.
It happens. You don't know where it happens, how it happens. It happens.
Yeah.
And we got that little break on the first goal, and you could tell that Bayern were finished by that time. The second goal was inevitable.
When the Glazer family bought it, 1995 was it?
Yeah.
What did it change?
It changed nothing, Charlie.
Nothing.
No, not a thing. Obviously, when a new owner, see the thing, the misconception about the Glazers buying the club, they created a sort of hostility with different factions of Manchester United supporters. Because a single member was owning the club. They forget the minute it became a PLC, someone was going to buy it. Somewhere along the line, someone was going to buy that club. The Glazers did that, and in my time with them, they've done nothing but support. Very strong, single-minded people, but always supportive of the manager and the things that are happening in the club. They've been very good. And I've absolutely no hesitation in supporting the way they've gone about their job. Very low key, very seldom, never give me a phone call. They'll phone the chief executive maybe once a week to go over the various things about the club, but never the team.
Didn't buy to run it, they bought it to see it be what it all could be.
Let it be.
Yeah, when you think about the record, the career, the wins, the losses, what do you remember? Do you remember the losses or the wins?
That's a good one. I can tell you about the bad losses we had. I mean, losing 6-1 to City and 5-1 to City is games you never forget. But I remember we lost the City game and I came home and I put my head under the pillow. I was, and my wife had been
under the pillow.
Oh, absolutely. I was going nowhere. And my wife came in and says, "What's wrong with you?" I said, "We lost 5-1. She said, "No, you couldn't have lost 5-1. It was a bad one,
There is also, your wife is wonderful, and you told me a story the other night about when they... the statue. They're putting a statue up of you, and they've got it under a hood, right? And she comes to you and says, or you said to her, who do you think should be here for the presentation?
And she says,
maybe Prince William.
Yeah, so he says, maybe Prince William. I said, no. She says, but he's president of the FA. It could be him.
Yeah.
And I'm standing there, and David Gale announces my wife. I couldn't believe it. I said, how did you manage to do that? Because she doesn't
never
go.
told you.
No, she doesn't go to the games either.
Oh, she never would go to the games.
No. She's been in a few cup finals.
Why would she not come? Just.
I don't think she finds it comfortable.
Yes.
I don't think she's not a football animal.
So she's getting ready to to jerk the cover off.
Yeah.
And she says, she does it rather gently.
Yeah. She's afraid to
decapitate you.
Yes, absolutely. When the head comes rolling down. Yeah. But no, it was amazing. I think it was the absolute correct person to do it. Yeah. You know, it was really...
So what did she mean to you?
Well, when my 47, she brought up the kids, there's no doubt about that. She brought up the kids, you know, the children, she brought them up.
Oh, she brought up the kids?
Yeah, because you go back to my early days, and at 32 years of age I went to football, and I had 2 public houses in Glasgow. So I was running 2 bars in Glasgow and part-time at football. Yeah. You know, meanwhile, Kathy's got to get them dressed to go to school, doing the homework with them, put them to bed, and I'm out all the time, you know, so that role was fantastic. I mean, there's no question. And they always remember, she used to say to me, yeah, when they get to 16, they'll be daddy's boys. I said, why do you make that? You wait.
And she was right.
She was right. They're always right. Even when they're wrong, they're always right.
Even if they don't like the conclusion, they're right.
But the 47 years of my age has always been a support system, and always be able to tell you the truth, you know. Yeah. When she says you're wrong,
she will tell you.
They're good at that.
She will tell you.
Absolutely.
Never.
Absolutely. She's good at that. Okay.
But there are 2 things that remind me of you and interesting. What happened to you and Wayne Rooney?
Well,
really?
I would get upset about it. He came in the day after when the league is common knowledge, he asked away, and it's this expectation thing again. I'm not his PRO. I manage a team for what I've seen in pitch, and in that particular moment he wasn't doing particularly well. Yeah. But now we see him today, he's got his energy back, he's got his purpose back, and he's doing great. So maybe that was a good turning point for the boy, you know. Yeah.
But he thought of it. Didn't you think of him as a son in a way?
Well, he came as a 17-year-old boy, and of course all the young players, we support them and look after them and do our best to make them better. And it was some great moments.
But did it end badly?
No, I don't think so. I think if Wayne walked in here today, he would shake my hand. I don't think...
When was the last time you shook his hand?
The day we won the league. You know, when we were presented with the cup, you see, you've got to also look at the media. Wayne's unfortunate in this sense that he's England's big white hope. Yeah. You know, internationally, he's a big white hope. So therefore, the media is always centred around Wayne. And he has people who advise him, and I think that's where all that's coming from. I never fell out with him at any time. You know, sometimes I would discipline him, sometimes they all need discipline, but not to the extent that you would think there was some sort of a...
How would you discipline them?
Well, if they've stepped out of line, you maybe fine them a week's wage.
Oh, yeah, okay, or not put them in the lineup.
No, I wouldn't do that.
You never did that? No. Because that would hurt you.
Yeah. But no, he's backed his form, and if that's in some way I've helped to bring that back, then I've done the right thing. Yeah. Make him aware that he's a great player.
Yeah, but you weren't thinking about what I'm doing for him, where you were thinking about it just doesn't work.
It's for the team.
Yeah, good for the team.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it so happened that it became good for him.
I think so.
Because he had to bring it together.
Yeah.
To be what he could be.
When the club did very well refusing him to sell him to Chelsea, he realised his only job was Manchester United, and he's brought back his focus, he's brought back his work ethic, and his purpose, and he's playing well again.
What do you think of Roman Abramovich, speaking of Chelsea?
It's a strange one, Chelsea, you know, the change of manager so many times, and yeah, they've won the European Cup, they won 3 league titles in Abramovich's time, they've won the FA Cup 3 times in Abramovich's time, yeah, they keep changing the coach, you know. That works for them. That works for them in terms of keep winning. But you look at the long-term situation, you would worry about that. They have been, well, in the last few years, they've been our main competitor. So it's a very competitive situation between Chelsea.
Suppose he came to you. Maybe he has.
There was, he used an agent when he first came to approach me, and I said, no chance.
You couldn't do that, no chance. You didn't even want to have the conversation.
No.
You didn't want to see what they would offer.
No.
You just said no chance. I could never be that way for the team that was a rival of where I made my home.
No. Manchester United is my team. My club.
So anybody who speculates that you may be back in football in any way is simply wrong.
There's a job coming up there. Was I noticed that the odds are 80-1 Ferguson. Good odds, that. And doing the things that I've been waiting maybe 35 years to do.
Yeah.
You know, I want to go to the Kentucky Derby. I want to go to the Masters. I want to go to the Melbourne Cup. But don't tell Kathy that. I'm trying to find a way tunneling through the ground and she doesn't notice. But, and there's a lot of things I want to do. I want to go to the vineyards in Tuscany and France. And,
oh yeah. You did that?
No, I've done France a couple of times, but I'd love to go to Tuscany. See these beautiful Antinori wines, you know.
Yeah. So you're now having a very good time.
Yes, I'm enjoying it.
You're seeing. You can go to a battlefield. You can go to the Masters. You can go to Kentucky Derby.
Correct.
You can go to. What else is on the list? Do you have a bucket list? You know what a bucket list is?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, movie.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, it's a great movie
with De Niro and Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. No. Jack Nicholson.
Right. But you know that. Well, I mentioned the Kentucky Derby, and I mentioned the Masters and the Melbourne Cup and doing France, and there's a lot of things that are coming up now in terms of doing leadership speeches. A lot of people want me to do these things, and these are challenges which I see as, because once I made my mind up to leave United, I was never going to think that I've made a wrong decision. Mm-hmm. I was just looking forward. I'm not interested in managing. I'm not interested in get myself worked up about United results. They're in good hands. David Moyes will do a good job.
Yeah. You're still behind him.
Absolutely, 100%. And all the club will be. Yeah. You know, it's the great thing about the club. They'll support the manager, and he'll be fine. He'll be good.
All right. Now here's my scenario. So let's say Roman Abramovich has got a lot of money. You know that. Mm-hmm. He's got more money than God.
Exactly. That's a good one.
You love horses.
Yeah.
Love horses.
Yeah.
I mean, say to you, look, come manage Chelsea. I will give you the greatest stable of horses
you ever seen.
It's a temptation.
Everyone dreams of it.
You have to know a man's weakness, you know what I mean?
I know. You always dream of having the Derby winner.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I have a share in the horse who was a favourite for the Derby this year.
Yeah.
I got injured, Telescope. Good horse.
Yeah.
It's injured at the moment, but it'll come back next year. It'll be a very, very good horse. Mm. But no, everyone dreams that we have again a Group 1 winner or a Derby winner or whatever, the Arc winner. But you know, as I said, I made my mind up. I'm looking forward to my new career and my new challenges.
Yeah. Now, what's the new career?
Well, I'm an ambassadorial role at United. I'm the chairman of the managers committee in UEFA.
Yeah.
I'm an ambassador for UNICEF, which is great work that.
Yeah, it's good work.
And United have had a great association with them for the last 10 years or so. I've been down to South Africa and seen these poverty of children, also child prostitution in Thailand. I've seen all that. And you know that the work that UNICEF do, they need support with that. They need funding, of course, but you see what they're doing, you know it's really worthwhile stuff. And I've quite enjoyed doing that with them. And it's a challenge, you know, it's a different type of challenge.
You're a big Labour Party man, aren't you?
Yep.
Yeah.
Never change that either. Won't change that either. I've been attempted to get me into the Scottish National Party.
Yeah, I know. Why don't you like Scottish nationalism? I don't understand that.
No,
I mean, my friend Sean Connery is all for it.
Oh, yeah, Sean is very much. I was with him
What's wrong with you?
Well, he's from Edinburgh. But no, I was brought up in a socialist background. My father was socialist, my mother was socialist.
Yeah.
And
so there you are, socialist.
Yeah. Why change?
Yeah. Okay.
It's never hurt me not changing throughout my life.
Yeah.
So I won't change. And I think Britain United is okay.
But if Ed Miliband, you know, they're ahead in terms of the polls against the Tories. You know, have an election, maybe he wins, he might have a job for you, another job.
No, it's one thing. I won't get into politics. That's a different life for me.
Yeah.
That, you know, it's not my scene.
All right, let me close with this. You've written your own biography. You did that about 10 years ago, was it? You know, you've got this new case study at Harvard, in which you talk about leadership. What's the best moment ever for you in football?
Well, the best moment has to be Barcelona, of course. I mean, that was the trophy I never won. This is always a sort of albatross around my neck.
Yeah.
And winning that particular night and the way we did it was, you can never forget it. But I think that to encapsulate my life is to have 27 years at Manchester United on my feet as an achievement. The continuity and the consistency that I created there, and going out to the top, you know, I can't ask for anything more. That's, for me, you know, I've achieved everything I ever wanted to achieve, and I've gone out a happy man.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks, Charlie. You've been great.
Sir Alex Ferguson, thank you for joining us. See you next time.